Why I'm not buying Classic Who on Blu-ray. Unless you've been living under a rock, you will now be aware that the classic, real, series of Doctor Who is now being released on Blu-ray in season sets. The announcement was made earlier this year, and I initially was very excited about the prospect because, as you all know, I love Classic Who. And then it was released, first in the UK and US and then here in Australia. In the past I would ordinarily have been running out to snap up their latest Classic Who release, even with the very high price. Yet I didn't. I still haven't. It appears to have sold out in many places, and just yesterday the BBC announced that Season 19 would be the next Who Classic Season Blu-ray set. My reaction, in contrast to my initial enthusiasm earlier this year, was a kind of half-hearted indifference. But why, you ask? I asked myself the same question. Sure, I've already bought the series twice in full on two different formats, VHS and DVD, and rebuying the same thing again and again, with the probable expectation that I'll probably have to buy them again in a different format, or streaming or whatever, in another decade or so, and that is a little wearying. But I didn't think it was that. Perhaps it was the fact that the Season 12 Blu-ray set was, in true BBC style, riddled with stupid errors and defects. And yes, there's the fact that I'm not made of money and there are many other things, particularly hordes of movies, mainly 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s movies that I don't already have that I'd like to buy on Blu-ray. But it's not just that either. Finally, this morning, with the latest from the New Who camp and the latest from the Third Team over at New Pooh magazine, I realized what the root of my indifference really was. I just don't feel like giving these people my money anymore. I've had a turbulent relationship with the new series since about 2006, one that worsened in 2008 and nearly killed it outright in 2014, before last year's great castration and blatant revisionist attack on the first Doctor finally made me pull the ripcord and say no more of this shit. But, still, I've always tried to separate loyalty to classic from my increasing derision toward the modern shite. I just don't think I can do that anymore. New Pooh's toxic shit, and a sizable proportion of its PC Nazi, toxic, pig-ignorant fanbase, you know the kind I'm talking about, the kind of barely human, PC-indoctrinated trash currently being employed to slag off the classic series by the Cardiff Appreciation Society magazine, has infested everything. There is no corner of fandom to turn to that is not infected with the new show, and the worst of its toxic fans. And the BBC itself is the prime culprit behind this, to merely being the latest victim of their desire to brainwash and browbeat their viewing audience with propaganda, bigotry and revisionist history disguised as entertainment. And I, of course, being that most awful of things, a middle-aged white heterosexual male who, no, sorry and all that jazz, doesn't actually think he's got sweet fuck all to apologize for, I'm the prime target for most of their blatant horseshit. Fans like me have been implicitly and explicitly told that we're unwanted, unnecessary dinosaurs who can either get with the PC Nazi program or fuck off. They don't want us, or need us. Except our wallets, of course. Oh yes. They still want us to open our wallets and give out huge chunks of change for repackaged versions of stuff we've already bought, the last format of which is still perfectly acceptable for most people, holding their hands out greedily for our hard-earned money while simultaneously flipping us the bird with the other hand and telling us to fuck off via their media mouthpieces and truly toxic media or representatives. Yeah, no. I don't feel like giving them my money anymore. Don't get me wrong. They find some missing episodes, or they animate some, as they allegedly are, and of course I'll get them. If they deign to put the extended version of Silver Nemesis and the original VHS extended version of Fenric on any season 25 or 26 box set, as they should have done on the DVDs in the first fucking place, I'll probably buy them too. But beyond that, I'm sorry, but this isn't my show anymore, And it certainly isn't my fandom anymore. And I don't feel like giving them my money anymore.